your own life. It's like, you know what, here you are, what are you going to do now? And
Sure.
you can't just move your ball, well, you could, but in the Keims, but
Right.
you could get it out of there. But a lot of times you have to, it's right where you're at. And you've got to figure out how to get there. And you have a target, right? And where, if you can get, you're always trying to make par. And par, which people can, you can explain what par is. People don't know golf. But it's very much the whole game is strategy. And you could just, honestly, you could pick up your ball and go to the next hole and say, we're starting over. You know? I mean, seriously, you could start off really poorly and you can end, and you could still be in a pretty good mood, right?
Right. Well, in life too, you can run into some troubles, and Tiger Woods, perfect example of
Oh my God,
that.
wasn't that exciting?
And
Okay.
he literally had to start over his life from his bad decisions that he made, and he did an excellent job at starting over, and now he's back in a better place. So
Right.
that's awesome, right?
Exactly.
And but going back to golf and to the point you said, you hit a shot and then you have to figure out where to go. What if you reverse that? What if you said, here's where I want to end up, and hit your shots backwards? So if I want to end up in the hole, what's my last shot that's going to get me in the hole? Where do I want it to be? And then what's the shot that's going to get me to that point? And then what's the shot that gets me to there? And you go up all the way backwards. Instead of starting from the tee, you play it from the green backwards from a strategy standpoint.
I didn't think of that.
And that way you're starting with the end in mind, and then you can work your way backwards. And that's what you want to do in business and life too. So many people start businesses without any plan to exit. You don't ever want to start a business without a plan to exit first. You solely need to start a business with the intention of, how am I going to sell this? What's my exit? And then you start to work backwards. That's how you start a business. And that's how you can play golf. And that's how you can live your life.
And that's
too.
how you teach it. And you sit back. When, what do people say to you when you're sitting there and you're going the opposite? You know, we're trying to get towards something, right? No, you have to come back. Do they kind of go a little, a little puzzling on that, or what?
Oh, sometimes they might look at me like I have three heads, but then they remember that that's why I'm the highest paid golf coach in Michigan, and that's why they're getting the value they're getting the value that they're getting.
Oh my goodness! And so, talking about coaching, so you have a coaching company, and then if I were a golfer and you were talking to me, I'm not a golfer, and we're sitting at an event as we have in the past, and can tell me why you think. Tell me why. I would say, why would I want to play golf? It looks so boring. Who would want to do that? What would you say to me if I was sitting across from you?
Well, I'd ask you what other things you like to do, and I'd probably stick with what you like, and then
as a courtesy,
and then,
right?
And then maybe discover opportunities to have some parallels there, and see if you'd be open to testing a few things in the game of golf. But I'm really not in the business of convincing people that are unconvincible.
Well, that is true, but it could be the simply fact is I tried golf. I had one round of golf, which was my experience, and it was disastrous. Right? It was because I didn't have the lessons, whatever. Okay, so if you started me at that point, and I tried it and it didn't,
Well, one thing I would ask you is I would ask you where you played and what environment you played in, and you would probably tell me that you played with a boyfriend or a spouse or a dirty Uncle Fred or somebody that you did, and it was, okay, you have to tee off from here, which is 4 football fields away from the target. You've never hit a golf ball before, but you've got to get it to go 400 yards and keep it out of the trees, water, houses, Mr. Havicamp's pool, keep it out away from all that stuff and still get it into the hole. And you'd be like, what, are you kidding me?
Right.
You don't get in a NASCAR first time without ever driving a car and they ask you to go 200 miles per hour around the track. You'd kill yourself.
Right, of course.
And that's what golfers are doing. They're killing themselves by learning that way.
Okay, I would agree with that.
So when we operate with our golfers, we start them at the hole and work backwards in our training as well, not just from a mindset, but from a physical standpoint.
Okay.
So the first mission is to score 5 or better. All right, so I might start you at 10 feet and make sure you learn how to score 5 or better from 10 feet, and then work you back to 20, 30, 40, 50, off, and then we start to get off the green as you continue to develop skills to score 5 or better.
Right.
And then by the time you get back to the tee, you're scoring 5 or better, and you're
Right.
very proficient at the game. You have some skill sets that you've developed and some foundations. So it's not a big deal to go 4 football fields, and you enjoy it, and you don't have a desire to quit. Whereas the person that had to go 4 football fields on their very first day. It's just a disaster.
And are you okay? So let's talk about you are teaching.